Blog Talk Radio.
All aboard! The Clio Exchange Express is leaving the station. Welcome to the Clio Exchange Express, a conversation about the past, present, and future. A lively discussion between friends, family, pundits, personalities, and potentates, if necessary, in order to teach and learn something new. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the hour. Let's go to the show already in progress. Well, hi there. Welcome on board the Clio Exchange Express. I'm one of your hosts again, Lou Phillips, and we're heading out on another life journey. It's a journey that will educate, inform, and inspire. Well, as usual, I'm joined on this journey by my co-conductors, George Chandler in London and Rudy Rollins, who's still out in that desert oasis of Las Vegas. How goes it, George?
It's going fine here in London, and I'm wondering if Rudy's going to make it tonight, Phil, because sometimes he scares me. But let's just hope he makes it.
Hold the game, man. Hold the game. Hey, man, what's going on, y'all?
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
I'm here.
He made
I'm
it.
Here. Hey, man, I got some exciting news for you about me, man. Remember last time I was a little late because they got my shoes?
Yeah.
Well, now I've been called Mr. LVN.
Uh-oh, what does that mean, Rudy?
I didn't think you would ask. It's me living very nice.
Whoa!
I got shoes, I got cars, and, I got the other stuff too, but I can't talk about that. But I'm good.
Oh, don't talk
you.
about that.
We ready for the ride, man?
We're ready for the ride, Rudy.
Let's go aboard. I'm here.
All right, brother. Well, we couldn't leave without you. And I held back. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying being in Vegas is tough, man. The boys took my shoes, man. I had to get my A game up, man.
I got you. Well, you got your A game on now for sure. You got it on now for sure.
That's right. I'm ready for the ride.
Okay, well, listen, before we get moving, we held back a couple of things for you, and one of which is to ask you a very important question. Mm-hmm. So let's take a moment and the two of you think about this. On your way home, you take a right and 3 lefts. Then you see 2 men wearing a mask. Who are they? You want me to say it again?
I have no idea.
Cuckoo, Fran, and Ollie.
Aha. No, it's the umpire and the catcher. Get it? All right, 2 lefts.
I like it.
You like that? How about you, George? You got anything?
I've got an elephant joke.
Oh, okay.
So they say elephants never forget, and I began to ask myself, why do elephants never forget? Because nobody ever tells them anything.
That's another British joke.
Oh yeah. And what do you call an elephant in a phone box?
In a tight fit.
Yeah. What do you call an elephant in a phone box?
Tight.
I'll tell you. Stuck. If you see
all right. I think we've just about broken the laugh meter on our comedy routine. What do you guys think? I think it's time for us to move on, don't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, move right along.
All
We've
right.
got somebody special tonight.
Yes, we do. So let's get a little closer to meeting who that special somebody is. Now, before I introduce him, let me tell the listening audience that we'd like for you to participate in the discussion, and you can do it by calling us at 646-716-7070, or you can call in toll-free at 855-414-6521. Again, you can reach out to us and join in on the conversation, and that'll be beginning at 7:25 by calling 646-716-7070 or toll free at 855-414-6521. Well, without further delay, let me introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, someone that will come into the conversation with a great deal of information about things that you've probably always wondered about, the doo-wop era and some of the best-known artists that you can think of now. He was there in the midst of all of that. He has spent the past 5 decades or so in the music business as a professional singer, among other roles. His first hit was logged in 1957, when at the age of 17, he was part of a Brooklyn-based group named the Velours, a uniquely talented group that signed with a fledgling Brooklyn label named Onyx Records. That journey lasted about 2 years and produced a number of recordings that are now part of music history associated with that era of doo-wop singers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the conversation our friend and someone I consider to be a living legend because of the trail that he has blazed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. John Cheatdom. Hello, John. How are you tonight, brother?
Hi.
Hey, John.
Hi. How you guys? How you feeling?
Good,
Real
man.
good. Outstanding,
Yeah.
man. We're just so grateful, John, that you've taken the time to spend a little time with us today, so that we might get a glimpse at and share with our listening audience that rich history of yours.
Oh yeah, it was really wonderful, really wonderful. You know, I mean, Yep. Sorry.
No, go right
What
ahead.
were you saying?
I
No, I
was
was
just saying that we captured some of the information about you. At least I was privileged to hear it when we were with you a couple of years back at our annual reunion in London that was hosted by George, and
Yeah.
and I knew then that I'd look forward to an opportunity for you to just share that with a broader audience than those of us who were privileged to be there that day. But go ahead, you were about to say something.
No, I was saying it. I was saying that the doo-wop era was such an amazing period of music, you know, because it was such simple music, you know, and even though it seemed simple, it was hard. I mean, you know, because I mean, back in those days, you know, every group had its own identity, you know, and you knew who everybody was, and of course in Brooklyn there was a group at every corner, and Manhattan, and in the Bronx, you know, of course, in New York was the hub, you know, of doo-wop music.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I can just imagine that New York, probably more so than any place else, represented that whole image of folks standing on the street corner, harmonizing and trying to get themselves together to go out and perform. And then also, I understand that there were a lot of entrepreneurs trying to get record labels started in Brooklyn. When you think of that period, what stands out most in your mind, John?
The fact that we were young, and we were young and we were ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we wanted. You know, I mean, I was. You know, when I first started my first group, I was 14. And yeah, because what happened was, my mother took me to my mother used to go. Her and her girlfriend used to go to the Apollo, and they took me. When I was 8 years old, they took me. She went to see Billy Eckstine.
Okay.
And she took me with her, and on the show with Billy Eckstine was Ink Spots. And when I heard Bill Kenny, the lead singer, when I heard him sing, I looked at my mother. And said, "Mom, you blew it, because that's what I'm doing the rest of my life. That is it right there."
John, it's George.
Yeah.
It's amazing you should mention Bill Kenny, because he was such a huge influence on the generation that came after.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
I mean, those singers like Clyde McFadden, Little Willie John, all of those singers were very influenced by him.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was and so what? So after I saw them, all I wanted to do was get me a group and started singing. So the first group I formed was in church. And my mother was dead set against that. She said, I was the choir boy in my church. I went to First Day Zion Church in Brooklyn, which which at that time was the largest black church in Brooklyn. And I was the head of the four choir. We had four choirs, but the fact that I sang higher than all the girls, they put me in the senior choir. I was and so every Easter and every Mother's Day I used to do a solo. And the church was always packed. I mean, you're talking about 1,800 people. But those 2 days specifically. And I used to do a solo, and they used to pass around a briefcase, and I used to make about $600-700.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
So John, so the group that you formed while you were part of the choir and everything, was it a gospel group or was it a secular?
No, secular.
Okay.
It was a secular group. We call ourselves the Troubadours. And we went to I want to say one thing about the church right quick.
Okay.
When I was in the choir till I was about 12. I told my mother, I said, listen, I said, my voice is about to change. I'm going to have to stop singing the choir. And she said about that moment, she says, can you do one more year? Just one more year. I mean, it was crazy money, Because it's so funny because Mother's Day, you got 1,800 people in the church. Father's Day, you got about 10,
Oh, okay. So mom
was never important.
So mom was encouraging you to bring in the cash.
Yeah. And fun. And when I went to boys' high school, and Freddie Williams from the Ink Spots, his son was in my class. Yeah, and he wanted his father wanted to start a group called the Young Ink Spots. So he asked me if I could join this group. So I said, we have to call my mother, and he called my mother. My mother said, you must be joking. My son ain't doing nothing like that. He's staying right there in school, So
yeah.
So they took Romy Ramis, who became our lead singer. His brother was the lead singer before. Arthur. He was a sensational singer. And he went and joined. He joined the original group, and he sang with them for about 50 years. He moved. Wow. He went straight to L.A. His name was Arthur Ramis, and he stayed with them for about 50 years.
Okay, about what year was that when you guys were doing all of this, John?
53.
Like in the
54.
Mid-50s? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get yourself showcased?
Well, we used to do talent shows.
Okay.
They used to do talent shows in all the churches around Brooklyn, and we used to enter all of them. And we went to the Apollo amateur hour, and the night we were on, it was the last appearance of Nat King Cole at the Apollo.
At the Apollo.
And we won. And we won. Right. We sang a song by the Crickets called Your Love. The group called the Crickets, Dean Ball and the Crickets, called Your Love, and we won. And the first prize was $15, right? So there was a group. So there was a group called the Dreams from Harlem, who were very popular in Harlem. They had a record out called Darlene, and they was in the bar next door, and they said, "Listen, is it time for amateur hour? Let's go over there and make $15, because they knew they were going to win." They came in and started singing Darlene with this high voice.
Yeah.
So they won. So they said, "Look, you guys take second prize, right? Because these are local guys, they got the win. So we got $10, right?" But I got a chance to stand next to Nat Cole, Nat King Cole, which was amazing.
How about that? My goodness.
Yeah, truly amazing.
George, you got something?
Yes, I was going to ask him about when the Velours got together, and how did you get your record deal? And how was that a high point or a low point getting the record deal?
No, they had auditions at the Apollo for groups, and we went over there and we auditioned. And Tommy Smalls, who was the mayor of Harlem, and he was called Dr. Jive on the radio. He had the biggest radio station, and he came down and he heard us and he said, "Look, I want to sign you guys up." So he signed us to. We got signed to Onyx Records, and he was our manager. So every time we record a record, it went straight to number one, you know. But which is really good, you know. It was an amazing time for us.
Yeah, that's a quick transition from 1953 starting to pull together, and then here you are in 1955, 56, and you putting out hit records. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but but the thing about it, back in those days when you played on shows, you never did more than, because there was always 8 or 9 acts on the show. You never did more than 4 or 5 songs, and we never really put an act together until we went on our first tour, and that was in '57 when I finished, 56. I finished high school. I graduated in June, and we went on the road with Ray Charles, our first national tour with Ray Charles and Bo Diddley, and one of these big Southern shows, and we were able to do 40 minutes on a show like that, you know, and we got a chance to really put an act together, which was amazing. And then we were working with the Moonglows, and they taught us everything. I mean, because you couldn't have better teachers than Harvey Fuqua and Bobby Lester.
Yeah.
Well, they taught us. Yeah.
No, go right
ahead. They taught us everything.
And they were masters of the harmony too, weren't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was because they were rehearsing. They were rehearsing for to record that new album. The one they did with 10 Commandments of Love and Penny Arcade, and they were rehearsing in the room. And we used to go in there and listen. And they say, "Look, see, you do the harmony like this, right?" Because it was only 4 of them. And you know how the bass singer would go up and sing baritone, and then go back down to bass, and how the first tenor and the second tenor, you know, could blend. The lead singer, if he's not singing lead, he would blend in the harmony. They just taught us everything. It was amazing. It was great for us. Great experience. Great education. And Harvey taught Donald how to be an arranger. Donald became a great arranger. Yeah, through Harvey Fuqua. Yeah.
Hey John, this is Rudy. You know, you mentioned the Moonglows. I started singing when I was 12, and I was in my first group. And matter of fact, we used to sing your song back then.
Oh, can I come up tonight?
Yeah. We couldn't. The only problem we couldn't make it work because without that bass, it just didn't work. We had the harmony. We had the harmony, but it wouldn't work without the bass. But when you speak of Harvey and the Moonglows, man, that was my training ground for the other notes that you didn't hear, because they sung them other notes and like nobody did, man. Yeah. But let me ask you something, man. How did I'm gonna ask you a question. When you started your first group, was it automatic chemistry, man, or did you shop around for a while before you found the right guys?
No, we had to shop around. You know, we had guys in that all the time. You know, because the thing about it is the fact that I was in high school and I was in a choir and the chorus in high school, and then I sang in the New York Soul City High School. I was the only black guy in 1952. I sang in the New York Soul City High School chorus, and I sang with the Sopranos. So what's this black guy doing to sing with all them chicks? He's in the right place.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, John, I just asked a question because I remember when I was, trying to get in the group, part of the protocol, man, you had to be cool, man. I mean, cool. You had to be cool, you had to look good, and you had to have a certain personality. And I was always the guy who had all of that. And so shopping around was, then you make the harmony. It just so happened we had to find the right guys, and I was just wondering about yourself when you started out like that, man. Was that part of your protocol, being cool and the look and all of that, or was just singing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and the good thing about it is there were so many good groups around at the same time. You had the Heartbeats, and then another thing that we didn't know, right, until we started traveling. I mean, you go to Chicago, you had the Dells, you had the Dells, you had the Flamingos, you had Otis Williams and the Charms, Jerry Butler and the Impressions. I mean, you had all these groups coming out of Chicago, coming to New York, and we was working on the shows with them, you know. So we had to be, the Spaniels. Oh my God, we had to be.
Oh yeah.
We had to be ready. We had to be ready. And and my favorite group of all time was the Five Keys. To me, they were just perfect. They had two lead singers. Well, most groups had two lead singers too, but the Five Keys had two lead singers, and they had three guys in the harmony, and that harmony was just perfect. I mean, just perfect. I mean, it was amazing.
Boy, those were challenging times for groups like yours, John, as well as the others. But you guys were having such a wonderful time. And I heard George bringing on a question there that we're going to ask just in a few minutes. Okay, John, hang on just a second.
Okay.
George, Clio Exchange Express and the Underground Railroad tour is leaving the station. Next stop, Milton, Wisconsin, and the Milton House Hotel. The Milton House was constructed by Underground Railroad conductor and Wisconsin pioneer Joseph Goodrich. The unusual grout house with its hexagonal three-story tower served as a local inn and the Goodrich family residence. In 1838, Joseph Goodrich organized a party of fellow Seventh-day Baptists who traveled westward to Wisconsin to file a claim for unsettled land. The group built a log cabin and surveyed the land for the town that would become Milton. Goodrich added on to the log cabin and built a frame structure that became the first Milton House Hotel. According to oral tradition, fugitive slaves would enter the log cabin approximately 10 feet from the rear of the Milton House Inn and then enter a trap door where they would walk through a tunnel that led to the basement of the inn where the Goodrich family provided food and shelter. The Wisconsin State Journal wrote of Goodrich after his death in 1867. He was an uncompromising friend and advocate of the cause of temperance and of human rights. The poor and the oppressed were received by him as a legacy of the Lord. The Milton House is located at 18 South Janesville Street in Milton, Wisconsin. It's open to the public daily. Okay, we're back now. And George, you had a question you were about to ask?
Yes, I was going to ask John, during this time of the success of the Velours was also the beginning of the civil rights movement. And you spoke about how you traveled around the United States, and I thought maybe you'd like to talk about that and how you stayed, where you ate.
Yeah. I tell you, it was. I mean, working in the South was rough. I mean, for us coming from New York was a culture change. I mean, total. I mean, my folks came from West Virginia, and West Virginia had segregation, but it wasn't as bad as I had never seen it like it was further down the South. I mean, when we joined the Ray Charles tour, we went straight to. I think our first gig was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and the band was setting up in this auditorium, and they were setting up the instruments up facing the wall, and the way the stage was set, the one side of the stage was open. It was open with seats on it, like an auditorium, and on the back side it was like a dance hall. So the band was setting up to the stage. So I asked the guys, I said, "Why are you setting up like that?" They said, "Well, we played to the wall. We sing to you guys. You be singing to the wall, and then when you finish singing your songs, you bow. First you bow to the right, where the white people sitting. You bow to the white people first, and then you turn to the other side and bow to the black people, right?" And that was a strange thing. Getting used to doing that, singing to the wall, boy. I tell you, that was incredible. That was incredible.
And what about hotel accommodations?
Well, we used to stay in people's houses. The only hotel that we stayed in, A.G. Gaston had even back then he had a motel in Atlanta, and Ray Charles and Mickey and Sylvia and most of the big stars stayed in the hotel, and we stayed and we always stayed in people's houses. You know, they'd always have a house for us to stay, and and the lady in the house would cook us dinner. She would cook us breakfast, dinner. But I mean, the breakfast they was cooking, she was cooking us grits with liver and all this. Have you got any bacon and eggs, man? when I used to all this kind.
Right. So how long did you stay together? Did the group stay together, the Velours?
We stayed together until 56 to about 61.
I see.
Yeah, we split about 61. Yeah,
and what happened? What caused it to break up?
Well, the record stopped selling, and then the whole music scene changed.
Okay.
You know, rock and roll. Well, we were in the rock and roll period because we used to tour. We used to do all the Island Free shows in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then and even then we were touring. The last tour that Ray Charles did with the Island Free Rock and Roll Show, which was the biggest one that they ever had, and that's one where Ray Charles got busted in Boston. Well, we were on that tour, and when we went to Connecticut, we were doing a TV show in Connecticut, Channel 8 in Connecticut. And when we got up there, we went in the front. They said, "Where y'all guys going?" We going in the front. No, you got to go around the back. No, this is Connecticut. In Connecticut, we had to go around the back to get into the studio in Connecticut. Couldn't believe it. You know, there was a lot of strange things happening.
Well, Connecticut, and this is just an aside, has always been a haven for the Triple K. You know. So I can believe that. Now, during this period, as the group was transitioning, you guys didn't separate. You just changed your name, right?
No. We broke up.
Oh, okay.
We broke up. Donald went to pharmacy school. I went back to Brooklyn College to get my teacher's degree, and Romy became an undertaker. He became an undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one actually stayed in the business was Richie. He stayed in the business. Pete went on the road. He became a road manager for what's her name, Nina Simone.
Okay.
And so when we reformed again, and how that happened was Little Anthony Imperials. You know, I was there when they first started. I was like, they were little kids, you know, to us.
Right.
And anytime they had any decent singers, we used to go down there to Fort Greene Projects, and if they had any good singers down there, we would just take them and put them in our group.
Okay.
And
you get them early.
Yeah. And so I was their vocal coach for years, and when they broke up the first time, and then around the same time we did, but when they reformed, they called me up and asked me if I wanted to join the group. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Listen, I'm retired. I'm married. I'm teaching school. I'm out of show business." And I heard a going out of my head, and I think I'm going out. I said, "Oh, no." No.
I got to come back.
I said, if some next person asks me something like that, that's it, finished, right? And and then I kept getting these offers to join these groups, and these groups were getting, were hitting again,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no. And then Glass Knight and the Pips, who I met when we were in Detroit on a Mickey Shaw show with Fats Domino. Mm-hmm. And we were backstage, and this group came back and knocked on our door and said, "Hello, can we come in?" And it was Glass Knight and the Pips when they were like, I think about 15, 16.
Wow.
And they came in and said, "Oh, we're the Pips, and we just want to say you guys are great, and we hope we can be as big as you guys one day." It wasn't long before I heard "Give It Up," and when they started having those hit records, I said, "Wow, they were amazing." And we stayed friends. Up until now,
Mm-hmm.
But of course,
wonderful.
A few of them are past now. Yeah, we be very close.
So where does the group The Fantastics fit in? Where does that? Okay,
we were invited in 1967. We were invited. A guy named Bob Urey.
Okay.
He was taking groups over to England, and they asked us. They said, "Listen, you guys want to go to England?" I said, "Well, how long?" I said, "For about a month." I said, "Well, it's in the summertime, so I'm not in school. I'm not teaching school." So yeah. So we went over, and they said, "Well, how much they paying?" They said they're paying $2,000 a week.
Oh.
I said, $2,000 a week? I mean, the most we. I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah." So we signed a contract. Said, "This is gonna be a joke, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So we went to England. So when we about 2 weeks before we were about to come over there, the guy he called me and said, "Listen, do you guys know any Temptation songs?" I said, "Yeah, we know a few." He said, "Well, learn Temptations because they're pretty big here." I said, "Well, we do Temptations numbers in our show anyway, of course."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we got to Heathrow Airport, all these posters up there, "Welcome to Temptations," Oh, the Temptations here too. John Cheatdom, Jerome Ramos. I said, "Wait a minute, hold it." I said, "Temptations." I mean, here I am, 5'8".
Right.
My belly is about as big as my height. I'm fat, and I said, "Where is the Temptation fat like me? Are you and as short as I am? You know what I mean?"
Right.
It was crazy.
It doesn't work.
So we had this guy. So we had the promoters, Roy Tempest, said, "What are you doing?" "Oh man, don't worry about it, man. This good promotion, good promotion." I said, "Listen, we ain't working for Temptation. That's out." He said, "Don't you do Temptation songs?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that's it, no problem." So the first night we performed it was a place called the California Ballroom in Dunstable, outside of London.
Outside London,
and
okay.
And it was called California Ballroom, and it was a queue, a mile-long line to get in the place. So the place was packed. So we went on stage, and those people standing with these Temptation albums, right? So I walked out on stage. I said, "Listen, as we're not the Temptations, but we'll give you Temptation music, right?" "Oh yeah, you want the Temptations?" I said, "Listen, all right." Anyway, we did the show, and it went down a storm,
Mm-hmm.
And so we met this promoter. His name, not promoter, but a club owner named Peter Stringfellow.
Oh yeah. He used to own some top clubs in London.
Oh yeah. Well, he got his money from us. He got his start from us.
Okay.
Because he signed us up, and we signed with him, and they changed our name to the Fantastics.
Okay.
And we went back to New York, and
you didn't go back to school, like that?
No. We went back and told our wives, "Listen, we're going to England," because that's where the money is, right? But because it was incredible. I mean, the first week we did the first week. So when Roy Thomas came in and he gave us $2,000, right? He gave us $500 each. So we all went in our rooms and shut the door. So about a half an hour later, I didn't hear no knock on the door. So I rang Romy. I said, "Romy, anybody knock on your door about the money?" He said, "No." So ask Donald. So Donald, anybody knock on your door about the money? He said, "No." "No, we're gonna keep this money?" Oh, listen. I mean, that was a lot of money back in them days. So I just threw the money on the bed and just went to sleep. That's it. And we got paid every week $2,000. It was amazing. Yeah.
My goodness.
So we came back to and finished and sort out business, and we came back to England to stay. And they changed our name to the Fantastics. And this producer, his name was Tony McCauley. He was working with Roger Green and Roger Cook, who would work with the Drifters.
Mm-hmm.
And the Drifters was getting all those hits, and they had all these songs. They said, "Listen, we got some songs. Maybe you guys, would like to do a few."
Right.
So we went in, and we recorded one of the songs called "Something Old, Something New," and it became a smash. It became a smash. That was in '76. It became a smash.
Okay.
1972.
Something old, something new. That's a beautiful title. And you know what, John? You're getting into a great story, but we've got a caller on the line who's calling in from Brooklyn, and it may be somebody you know. So let's get him on the line here. Okay. Jonathan, you on the line?
Yes, I am. Hi, Lou. First of all, let me just say how much I enjoy your show. It's great to listen to radio on my computer.
Beautiful. We're glad you called in, Jonathan. What's your question?
Actually, John, I have two quick questions.
Yeah.
After 35 years of singing, are you just as excited as you were back in the 50s and 60s? And the second question is, what's it going to take to get you to perform in Brooklyn?
Well, we performed in with the 2004. We did the PBS. We did a PBS show in Jersey. With they flew us over. I live in London now. Me and Donald, and they flew us back to the States. And we met it with Romy and Pete, because all the guys were still alive, right? And they hadn't worked in about 40 years, you know. And so we got together, and I said, listen, we got to get some uniforms, because we can't look like we haven't worked in years, right? So we went down and we got some uniforms, and then Pete says, listen, the only request I got is one thing, is I'm old now, right? And I don't want to rehearse. And I don't think we shouldn't have rehearsed, because we rehearsed enough when we would sing together. So I ain't forgot what I knew. Did you forget what you knew? He said no. All right, so we ain't gonna rehearse. Oh my God! Right. So when we went down to the theater to rehearse with the band, right, with the orchestra. The guy says, "You guys ready?" I said, "I think so." And as soon as as soon as the music started, we just started singing. It was just like we never parted. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Because none of these guys ever sang with any other group. See, the only thing they had in their head is what they did with the Velours all those years ago. You know.
So I guess. I was just going to say, I don't know if Jonathan's still on the line or not, but it sounds like Jonathan, he'll come back there at the beck and call.
We like that. We'd like to see you back in Brooklyn for sure.
Yeah, Jonathan. You know what? You know, there's a singer. His name is Julius Mason. He was in school with me. And when we broke up, years later, he has started a group of Velours with our bass singer Charles Murphy, because Charles didn't come to England with us. He stayed in New York, and they worked together for a long time until Charles got killed. He got robbed. He tried to rob me one night coming from a gig, and he got killed. And they were working a lot in New York, you know. But now there's very few doo-wop shows anymore.
That's for sure.
I think Ronnie I died, and he used to do a lot of rock and roll shows. It's a shame, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But,
and I see Benny King is still doing some of those kind of shows as well. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for calling.
Thanks
for having me, and thanks for all the good music, John. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I was telling you about Peter Stringfellow. Well, he sold us when we got our hit record to one of the greatest agents, managers of all time, Howard Davidson, who was the manager of Frank Sinatra. Pete Stringfellow sold us to Howard Davidson, and Howard Davidson said, "Listen, you guys, you're working with me now. You know, you're only going to do big shows." So the first thing he did, he put us on the last European tour of Diana Ross and the Supremes before she went solo. That was the year Martin Luther King died, and working with them was just a sensation. I mean, she blew my mind every night. I just couldn't believe that little skinny girl could be so sensational. She was amazing.
So she could really sing, huh? Or entertain.
Yeah. But that's the name. That's the bottom line, entertainment. Yeah, so that's what it's all about, you know, entertainment. Right. And she's amazing. And then they put us on tours with Frankie Valli, 4 seasons. We did 2 tours with them. I mean, it was a great time with Howard Davidson. You know, it was really good. But then we broke up in '76. The Fantastics.
Okay, so your transition from New York to London was a bit different than your transition from New York to the South with Ray Charles and company, right?
Yeah, it's a little more successful, you know, less distressing.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
more singing to the wall.
yeah. Yeah, but
Rudy, you got a question?
No, I'm enjoying this history lesson, man. There's a lot I don't know about the Velours because they was before me. You know, I was still a kid trying to sing when they came out. But John, one question I want to go back and ask you, man, because one of my favorite tenors was Tracy Lord. Was he a natural tenor or was he a falsetto, man? That was always a question.
He was both. He was both. He had a high voice, but he also had a great falsetto.
Okay, what happened?
What happened? He was in the original Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Right.
Because the original group was Anthony, Ernest, Nate was the bass singer, Tracy Lord, and Clarence Collins. Clarence Collins and Ernest and Anthony are still working together now.
Right.
I spoke to them. I spoke to them about 3 weeks ago, and they had just done a show in New York. They're still working together. But when the group broke up, when they reformed to do Going Out My Head and all those, so when they asked me to join them, they didn't take Tracy and Nate back. They hired Sammy Strain. Sammy. Sammy Strain joined them.
Great singer.
Who was one of the greatest entertainers, one of the nicest guys in history of show business, boy. Sammy's just an amazing guy.
I heard
all those years
I was just going to say, I think I heard George's voice in the background. We dropped him there for a moment. George, you back?
Yes, I'm back. I've been back now for about 5 minutes.
Okay, you got a question?
Okay, can I say something about George? Can I say one thing about George?
Yeah.
George was singing in a group called the Four Kents, right, with Rudy. And they came to London, and somebody said, "Look, there's a group coming over from Italy to try to take over you guys' position." And I went down to see them in a show, and they just blew my head off. I called the guys up. I said, "Listen, we're in trouble." I just saw a group called the Four Kents, and they will tear us apart. These guys can entertain, and the thing about it, we still had that American kind of. You know, I'm pretty on stage, you know, I'm dancing and doing my choreography, but don't touch me, you know what I mean? Don't smile, you know what I mean, all that, and people going to fall asleep in front of you, you know what I mean? Yeah. When I saw George and them, they came out there, boy, they were smiling and jumping around, and George was the front man, and he was running around and singing the tables and stuff. I said, oh my God, this is some different stuff here, boy. It was amazing. and one thing I wanted in my lifetime, I wanted to sing in a group with George Chandler. I asked him one time, but he was busy. I never got a chance because he is tremendous.
Well, that's great. That's great.
John, did you know the other side of the story? There was 4 of us, but only 3 singers.
He didn't know that story.
Was Bass with the group?
A couple of years ago. He thought it was 4 people singing.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Well, listen.
But it was only 3 people singing.
Well, listen, John. Before we go off on another trail, let me just ask you, with regards to performing in Europe for as long as you have, 30 plus years. What did you find as being the greatest challenge for an African American transitioning like that?
Well, most countries that we tour the world, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been working with the Magic Sounds of the Platters since 1984. Well, we hadn't got to that part yet, but we work everywhere because and we never have racial problems, things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they. How can I explain it? I mean, even we toured South Africa twice. We opened up Sun City, mm-hmm. And of course, they had their apartheid down there, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And we worked through that. I mean, we used to go down and work in the townships, and refuse to work anywhere for white folks, right? And while we were working in the townships, and Ray Charles and Shirley Bassey and all these people working in these all these white places, they were getting blackballed by the UN. They said, well, what about them? They said, no, they're not doing that, you know. We used to refuse to work these places, you know, until they started. Then they started. I mean, I remember we integrated the Coliseum Theater. That's the most famous theater in Johannesburg.
Okay.
And we went in there, and we were the first ones. We said, if you want us in there, we want to see a mixed crowd, and they made sure they had all the black people sitting right in front where we could see them. Otherwise, we weren't going to perform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean that's you know, that's a story. One story I wanted to tell is I think I told you the other day when we were speaking that when we went down to do a tour, we did a tour for 6 months. We went down for the Yes vote in '94, and we put together a band, 12-piece. We took 3 musicians from each of the South African tribes, the 3 Zulus, 3 Sutus, 3 Swana, 3 Betes, and put this band together. And these guys were really, really, really good, and they got better as the tour went on. But we couldn't get them out of South Africa, of course, because of the restraints they had back then. And about 6 years later, I get a phone call, and my wife said, "Oh, somebody wants Mr. John, so it must be one of your South African friends." So I got on the phone, and it was Bede, the bass player, and he said, "Oh, Mr. John, it's Bede." I said, "How you doing?" I said, "Where are you?" So I'm in London. So what are you doing in London? He said, "We're working with Paul Simon. We're the Graceland band." I said, "What?" and I just started crying. I said, they got out. They made it, and these guys were so good. Yeah, they made it. You know, and they made a lot of money.
What a great story! Now, when you were down there, were you there as the Fantastics or the Realistics?
No, we went down first as the Realistics.
Okay.
And then we went back as the Platters the second time. We went down in 80, I think it's 84, 83, 84. No, 81. No, I'm sorry, 76. We went down there.
Right.
And then we went back in 94 as the Platters. Yeah. And it was amazing. I mean, truly amazing, you know.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
This is Rudy, man. You owe me some royalties, man, because that was the name of my first group, the Realistics, man. So you owe me some back pay on them, bro. I'll come to look me up.
you know, the Realistics was a strange kind of group because when I left the Fantastics in '76, I put together this group, the Realistics. It was just 3 guys. It was just 3 of us. And we had I think we had 1 hit record in South Africa, a song called Pure Magic. But other than that, we used to work all through India, all through the Middle East, all over the place. But we were entertainers, you know. We could get on stage and we know how to entertain. Because with 3 guys, you have to entertain, you know, and you got to be tight if you got just 3 singers. Yeah, we stayed together for years, you know, until I joined, we put together this Platter group, you know, with Ernest and the guys from the Imperials, which was great.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, John, we're starting to wind down now, and as you and I talked last week when we were planning for this, you kind of said, man, there's no way to wrap 50 years of entertaining into a 1-hour show. So you're absolutely right. But I have a question for you with regards to a period during the course of your career that you recall being at your lowest point. What is there any period that you shared with me an experience you guys had in South America that I thought might have been one of your lowest points?
Oh, that was when our lead singer Tommy Smiley died. That's 2006. We had just had a concert and a TV show, and we came back to the hotel, and he died. He had a heart attack, and it was so distressing. I mean, it was horrible, you know. The first thing, as soon as they came to the hotel, first thing they see him laying there dead, and we were trying to revive him, and he kept getting colder and colder. So he's the guy, he can't be dead, you know. And we finally just said, okay, he's dead. And we had to go down to the coroner's office for 8 hours while they did an autopsy, and they put us through all kinds of stuff. But they tested for drugs. There was no drugs. He had a heart attack. He had asthma. Mexico City, the altitude was very thin, and it just wiped him out after a while. He just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
And his heart gave out. So I came back. I just came back. When I came back to London, I just said that to my wife. I said, "That's it. I'm finished." She said, "Yeah, I heard that before." because when I had my arthritis attack in 2004, we were on tour then, and I had a rheumatoid arthritis attack. I was in South America, and they called my wife and said, "Listen, you got to come get your husband because he can't work anymore. He's crippled." And I called her and said, "Listen, you bring your butt over here and mess with me." I said, "I'll knock you out. I'm fine. I'm in pain, but I can still work on stage." So I took all the stuffing out of my shoes because my feet were swollen, and I couldn't lift my arms up too high because of the pain. But I used to get out there on that stage, and the people used to look at me, "How's he doing that?" I was laughing and crying at the same time. I said, "But look, this is what I do."
Yeah, this is my gig.
Yeah, it's like I'm like George Burns. George Burns was 99. He said, "Listen, I'll be living to about 103 because I just signed a new 3-year contract for Vegas." You know what I mean? I'm like that. You know what I mean?
I do. Now, what about the reverse of that? What is your high point? What can you point to as being the high point for you?
Oh, wow.
A lot of them, I'm sure.
Wow. Oh boy, I had quite a few.
Yeah, I know you've had a rich life.
I think when we were number one, the Velours, when Can I Come Home Night went to number one, and we went to the Apollo as headliners. We were number one, and the Dells Over the Night was number 2.
Wow!
And we met them, in the street. They were walking down the street, and we thought they were a gang from Harlem because they had on these trench coats, right?
Right.
And we said, "Look, don't run, just walk, right?" And as we got closer to them, they started smiling. So we said, "Hey, who you guys, man?" We the Dells. "Hey, man, we the Velours, man. We number 1." "Yeah, we number 2." But then the charts came out the next night, and they were number 1.
Okay.
So yeah,
payback.
but we said, listen. We're gonna finish the week number 1, right? Because we started this week number 1. So we gonna stay number 1 for this whole week, right? And that's another relationship that lasted for all these years until the guys are dying off now. I mean, Marvin Jr. just died. I mean, there's only Chuck Vernon and Mickey left.
Yeah.
But
well, this is great.
Was one of my. I think, and my mother came to see because my mother refused. She refused for years. I'm not going to see that garbage. He didn't go to. He left the church. He grew his hair. Got all that stuff in his hair. Look. Don't go to church anymore. You know what I mean? I ain't going. I don't want to see that stuff. But finally, when we went to number 1, they got her to come to the Apollo to see us. That was my highlight.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And the interesting thing you spoke about God and the fact that in our conversation you certainly acknowledged the fact that God has been present in your life all along, and that's probably from a praying mother, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I spent most of my youth, my life. I was a Scout master. I was in the Boy Scouts for years. Explorer Scout, Life Scout, Air Scout. Yeah, I did all those things. I mean, that's a very important part of my life. I mean, people. I know sometimes people ask me. They say, "Well, if you're singing, how can you be into God if you sing it?" I say, "Well, listen, my music inspires people. It's we're not saying anything that's derogatory. We just sing love music. We just trying to make people happy. We're trying to bring happiness to people. And I say, well, God is with me every day because all the countries that I travel around the world all these years, and I'm 76 now, and my eyes are bad, and I still travel all the time. And I said, well, if I didn't have Him with me, I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
So I've always felt that way.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, that's a wonderful place for us to really start to wrap it up. And I tell you, John, on behalf of my fellow conductors and the listening audience, I'm sure they've enjoyed this as well. I want to thank you for taking the time again, for giving us an opportunity to enjoy listening to you recount what is to me a tremendously colorful life.
And I want you to get I want you to give my sincere regards to Marshall Thompson, please, because I haven't seen him since the Charlotte stopped touring Europe.
Okay.
And he's a great friend and really a tremendous guy. Just give him my regards, please.
I sure will. And I tell you, man, and I'm sure my cohorts agree with me, it's been a wonderful life stop for all of us, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
It certainly has.
And John, I pray that God will continue to fill your life with His grace and mercy, and give you all the very best that He has to offer.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
And you guys stay cool, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right. God bless you.
Care. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, the conductor is telling us it's time to move on. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Let us know by sending an email to info@clioexchange-express.com. That's info@clioexchange-express.com. Until next time, we wish you peace of mind, love from the heart, and happiness you cannot explain.